you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of the Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
Ahead on American Sunrise, a new leader at Homeland Security, Markwayne Mullin, confirmed by the Senate. He steps in during a funding standoff and a huge immigration battle. With big promises and big questions ahead, can he deliver results? We'll check in with the former MMA fighter. Plus, President Trump digging in, tying any DHS reopening deal to passage of the Save America Act as the standoff drags on, and so do the lines at airports. Can Republicans turn this fight into a win? We're going to break it down. And later, Iran firing missiles towards a remote U.S.-UK base, highlighting Tehran's ability to threaten targets far beyond the immediate conflict zone. What does it say about Tehran's reach and America's next moves? Those stories and more as American Sunrise starts on a Tuesday right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics. President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning, everybody. Happy Taco Tuesday. I'm Dr. Gina. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody. He's in Washington, D.C., and Terrance Bates in our Denver newsroom. You know what I want right now? Have you ever had a real Mexican taco? Like a real one. You know, like the kind that you can buy in California that you cannot buy in Florida. One of those. You have no idea what I'm talking about. It's like carne asada. You cannot buy them here in Florida, and I miss them every day.
Huh. Okay.
I thought Taco Bell was a real taco. Sorry.
Oh, boy.
Right. Very, very same. I was like, yeah, you know, I just went to Taco Bell and got a soft taco yesterday, and it worked for me, Dr. G.
You've got to have a real carne asada once. You'll never be the same again. Never.
We'll never turn back.
I think it's horse meat, but I don't know. That was a joke.
Okay.
Well, that's coming up in our health segment later on.
Right. I'm good. David, so look, you scooped me this morning because we want to talk a bit about Markwayne Mullin. Yes, you did. You mentioned that Markwayne Mullin was confirmed. You got to it before I did, which is always a good thing because you just got to it a little earlier. 2 Democrats voted to confirm Mullin. That would be John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Martin Heinrich of New Mexico. Markwayne Mullin, of course, taking over for Christie. But the bigger story potentially coming out of D.C. is that President Trump is tying DHS funding to the Save America Act. He's even calling on the Senate to stay in Washington and skip Easter recess in order to get it done.
So I'm tying Homeland Security into voter identification with picture and proof of citizenship in order to vote. And those 2 items are the most important thing having to do with Homeland Security. So it should be part of the Homeland Security bill. And I'm requesting that the Republican senators do that immediately. You don't have to take a fast vote. Don't worry about Easter going home. In fact, make this one for Jesus, okay? Make this one for Jesus. That's what I tell him.
Make this one for Jesus. David, I'm so old school, I use the term scoop. Yes, I've been doing this that long, but I love President Trump for that. Look, get the work done, guys. I'm glad somebody's drawing a line and saying stay in D.C. and get the work done.
Well, if you go to the book of Philippians, obviously the Save America Act is in there, and even Jesus would be proud.
That's going to be our Bible verse today.
That's right. May the Lord bless the Save America Act and keep it. Look, here's the thing. My sense of this is, and we're going to have Congressman Randy Fine here in just a moment. My sense of it is that DHS funding is actually going to get done by the end of the week, probably the weekend. There was some movement last night at the White House with certain senators. So this idea that President Trump is saying tie it together, I think what they're going to do is they're going to take the Save America Act and put it as part of a reconciliation bill. So you only have to have 50 votes. So in other words, reconciliation will be everything under the sun. You know, it's the big, beautiful bill, the sequel, if you will, and they're going to put that in there. Now, there's some issues there. The parliamentarians say you can't do that. Will Thune say override the parliamentarian with a vote? We'll see. But I think that's the way it's going to go. So I think DHS funding, Gina, gets solved by the end of this week, probably this weekend.
Yeah, that's good because we're doing a lot of traveling this week, Terrence and David.
Right,
for sure.
Privatize the TSA. All right, let's check out today's Bible verse if we can.
Let's turn to the book of Deuteronomy and privatize the TSA.
Right.
I really hope that all this inferring of the Bible and Jesus isn't blasphemous, and I really apologize.
Yes,
God,
Lord, I'm sorry. You know my heart.
Yeah. Thank goodness he knows our hearts, right? Psalm 89:5 is our Bible verse today. Rather, 89:15. Can't read today either, apparently. Just craving tacos, it distracts you. It says, "Blessed are the people who know the joyful sound. They walk, O Lord, in the light of your countenance." I love that one. I studied about joy all night. You know how many scripture there are about the concept of joy? This is a big, important one. A big, important one. And one of the things that I studied last night in my Bible study was that when you can take joy in the most trying of times, when you're really being persecuted, when you're really going through it, when you can take joy in those moments, it's a mockery of Satan. It's like what he hates the most. So I never knew that. I thought that was really cool. And if you look at all the scripture, it spells it out for you. Just do it. Just look at all the scripture and joy. That was the Abide app is where I got that study on joy. All right, the Senate has confirmed Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin as the new Secretary of Homeland Security. The vote was 54-45, mostly along party lines. Mullin, a close ally of President Trump, takes over during a time of funding disputes and debate over strict immigration policies. He has promised to improve oversight and adjust some enforcement tactics while continuing the administration's border security agenda. For more, let's bring in Florida Congressman Randy Fine. Congressman, I'll tell you, I'm glad he got through. I think he has a little bit of a temper. I think that we will see it again. This is my prediction. I'm Babe Ruthing this right now. And even the temper doesn't mind me so much. I'd sure rather have a masculine, manly man than a girly man any day of the week, all day, 7 days a week. But at the same time, I guess what bothers me is, at least I never heard him even questioned on his all of the accolades that he gave to the Capitol police officer, the disdainable, wretched Capitol police officer that killed Ashley Babbitt. And that makes me sick. Why didn't anyone ask him about that?
Well, thanks for having me. Look, you talked about his anger. I would say now's the time to be angry. The Democrats have kept the government closed, the agency that he will be taking over. It's been now closed for the third time in, I think, 6 months, all because Democrats are determined to keep the illegal immigrants in this country that they let in the Biden administration. Tens of millions of people streamed across the border. They're ripping us off. They're raising our rents. They're raising our food prices, our insurance prices, our housing prices. And Democrats are doing everything in their power to keep them in the country and making Americans now wait hours and hours and hours and put our homeland security at risk. So an angry guy like Senator Mullins, I think, is what we need, because now is a time to be angry. As it relates to the questioning, I presume that they know him. They've served with him. And so that's why he got an expedited process. If you can't decide how you're going to vote on a guy you served with for years and years, I think the hearing was really more for show. They knew how they were going to vote on him from the outset because they know him.
Yeah, Congressman, let's talk about the Save America Act. We're hearing that we're not hearing, he's actually saying it. He wants it tied to DHS funding. But my sense of it, as I said at the top of the show, is I think, what's your sense? I think DHS funding is going to get done separately, and you guys are going to hold Save America Act as part of reconciliation, which presents a whole other host of some issues going forward. But what's your sense of what happens to the Save America Act in this process?
Well, I don't know. I mean, look, I'd point out that the House that I served in both passed DHS funding multiple times, and we passed the Save America Act in its various forms multiple times. We've done our job. Now it's up to the Senate. Look, I certainly hope that they pass DHS to get that back open, because we need it open. Americans need the homeland secured in this time where the homeland is at risk. Keep in mind, since the conflict in Iran started, we've had multiple Muslim terror attacks in this country. And the fact that Democrats care so little for Americans because of their fetish with illegal immigrants, I think that should say a lot to everyday Americans.
What kind of work is being done in the House right now? I ask you this question based on this Hill headline, which says Speaker Mike Johnson faces potential attendance problems as major bills loom. Apparently, 22 Republicans missed a vote on Tuesday of last week. 21 Democrats missed votes. What's going on in that body? There's still work to be done for the American people. Why would so many lawmakers be missing votes?
Well, just so you know, I was almost one of those 22. Last week, we had terrible storms, and I ended up having to drive to Washington. Some of my colleagues either lived further away or simply couldn't make it. The Tuesday issue, that's why so many people on both sides of the issue of the aisle weren't here. I think attendance is an issue when you have a majority as small as we did. And my view on it is simple. You signed up for the job. You're getting paid. That's what voters expect. They expect you to be here to vote. I haven't missed a vote yet in the year that I've served, and I don't plan to do it anytime soon. If we've got to stay for the next 2 weeks when we're supposed to be off for Easter and Passover, then so be it. The work of the American people comes first. We've got a country to save.
Amen. Thank you. I want to hug you right now, Congressman. Sorry, but I am all for that. Stay and get the work done. Sorry, Dave and Gina. Go ahead.
We're out of time. Congressman Randy Fine, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Congressman.
All right, coming up, we're going to check out the hottest headlines from the Ravs newsroom with T. Bates. Also later, new warning signs in the Middle East. Russia and China warn the Strait of Hormuz crisis could spiral further. What that will mean for global oil shipping, and whether the conflict with Iran will spread even more. Stay tuned. We have the facts here on American Sunrise.
I don't need a lecture, don't need shame. Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State. And Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the Rav stage. Hear from Rav's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. Gina, others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice. Presented by Patriot Mobile, Birch Gold Group, Trump Tumbler, and 1776tumbler.com. Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of Real America's Voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered. This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
I just won't kneel. I don't chase headlines. I live what's real. I raise my kids to think and pray.
Literally coming into this block, someone in my ear said, "Read the prompter," as if that's not, as if I wouldn't know that. All right, that is New Orleans, Louisiana. Now I'm craving crawfish. I guess really maybe I should have eaten breakfast today. Welcome back to American Sunrise. Listen, Waffle House is on its way. We're headed to CPAC. We're doing Waffle House. I'm not going to be craving anything. And I'm Gina Loudon. There's more headlines and news just ahead. But first, Terrance Bates is standing by with the latest headlines from Real America's Voice Newsroom, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
All right. The country has a new Secretary of Homeland Security after the U.S. Senate confirmed Oklahoma Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin on Monday. Mullin replaces Kristi Noem as head of the agency. All right. Also, taking part in the roundtable discussing the strides made to make Memphis safe again, the president used his trip to Bluff City to visit Elvis Presley's home at Graceland. Nice little moment there. While putting America first in Memphis, the commander-in-chief is keeping his eye on the prize in Iran. He says the current Islamic regime is ready to make a deal to end the war. We'll see about that. However, he points out the country's newly elected leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, hasn't been seen since or heard from since that supposed election as the country's supreme leader. While discussing the ongoing negotiations, the president repeatedly used the term regime change.
Everybody's been killed from the regime. They're really starting off. There's automatically a regime change. But we're dealing with some people that I find to be very reasonable, very solid. The people within know who they are. They're very respected. And maybe one of them will be exactly what we're looking for.
There is no word who the administration is negotiating with inside Iran. Senior Iranian officials are denying any ongoing talks with the U.S. They're calling it fake news. All right, NTSB investigators working to confirm what led to Monday's deadly plane crash at New York's LaGuardia Airport. The pilot and co-pilot of this Air Canada jet are dead. Dozens of passengers injured after the plane hit a fire truck that was crossing the tarmac. An air traffic controller reportedly gave the truck permission to respond to another plane that was reporting an odor on board. Moments later, the same air traffic tower repeatedly ordered the truck to stop. By then, it was too late. While the NTSB is on the case, Canada has also sent an investigative team to New York to get to the bottom of what happened. All right, meteorologist Tracy Anthony is now here with our forecast. I get the honors of introing Tracy. Isn't that neat? Anyhow, let's go to Tracy right now. Tracy, good morning. What do you see across the country? We don't have Tracy. The one time I'm going to go ahead and introduce Tracy, and she's not there. All right. We've got a lot more coming up on the show. We'll get to weather at some point. We will, promise. Up next, Iran fires missiles towards the remote U.S.-UK base on Diego Garcia. It appears to be the Islamic regime's longest-range strike yet. The base wasn't hit, but the attempt underscored a dangerous new phase in the conflict. We're going to break it down when we come back.
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of real America's voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, and inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of the Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
That's Madison, Indiana. If it was Madison, Wisconsin, we'd see a bunch of granola heads with protest signs. But it's not. It's the clear, calm Madison, Indiana. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, the State Department is issuing a worldwide security alert for U.S. travelers amid rising tensions with Iran. Officials warn Americans overseas to expect increased security risks, including possible travel disruptions and threats to U.S. interests. The alert urges extra caution, especially in the Middle East, as the situation continues to escalate. Let's bring in now retired Navy SEAL and the Chief Talent Officer for Overwatch Mission Critical. That would be Mike Sorelli. Mike, great to have you here. These warnings, I mean, I'm sorry, can I just use the word duh? I mean, how effective really are these warnings? I mean, I guess I understand why they do it. They have to. But really, should we read anything more into these warnings and why they happen like right now rather than like a week ago?
Well, guys, first, I always enjoy seeing these three faces in the morning. It's good to be here. So this comes down to risk. And really, you know, risk is not one size fits all. Everyone has a different posture or vision of the world. I would take these seriously at this time. And it's not just the Middle East, it's Europe as well. Because we're not so much concerned about Iran's ability to reach Europe right now with intermediate range ballistic missiles. It's more about the facilitators, it's the proxies, or even ideological aligned actors that can conduct these lone wolf or small cell attacks throughout Europe, the Middle East, or even other continents. And that's what people have to be advised against. And guys, when you live in this bubble we call America, sometimes we take for granted that the world doesn't act or have the moral system that we have here in the United States.
All right, so I want to dive a little bit more into a little bit of what you said there. You said that we're not really concerned about about Iran being able to reach Europe with its ballistic missiles. NBC News has this headline, which reads, Iran fires missiles, at remote UK-US base. That would be the Diego Garcia base, suggesting long-range capabilities that it previously denied. Those missiles reportedly could reach more than 2,000 miles from Tehran, which would probably put them in range of mainland Europe, no?
It would. So, guys, these are IRBMs. Usually most people hear ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, which only 8 countries in the world contain those. IRBMs actually can reach up to about 3,500 miles. And yes, Iran fired 2 of them. Now, these missiles, IRBMs and ICBMs, were specifically designed to deliver nuclear weapons. So this is a strategic blunder. First, one of the missiles fired at Diego Garcia actually functioned or malfunctioned and fell into the sea. The other was struck or intercepted by a SM-3 from the U.S. Navy. Strategic blunder. The first strategic blunder was Iran hitting their Middle Eastern Gulf state partners. This one, especially with Trump signaling that the war was winding down, there was no reason for this. And, it doesn't intimidate the West because their technology is not quite there yet, as seen with these 2 missiles. It's the fact that they've actually hardened Allied resolve. And now we're seeing G7 countries raise their hand to actually reopen the straits. So at the end of the day, this was a total miscalculation by Iran, but it should come into our risk posture and threat analysis, both for Europe, the United States, and all our partners in that region.
Mike, Russia and China are urging restraint as Middle East tensions deepen around the Strait of Hormuz. Moscow has warned against further escalation, while Beijing is urging all sides to halt military action and return to negotiations. The Strait handles about a fifth of all traded oil. President Trump also announced a 5-day delay in potential strikes on Iranian power and energy infrastructure. So, Mike, to what extent do you think international pressure may have factored into this temporary pause?
It was definitely part of the calculus. Trump had signaled that the war was winding down. When you feel the international pressure, particularly on the energy market, that goes into the calculus. But let me talk about Russia and China. The talk is cheap. This is concern management, not action. Russia's in a grinding war of attrition. They don't have the resources, so there's going to be no action from them. China's rhetoric is coming from energy vulnerability, not morals. They're not going to further align themselves with a country that screams martyrdom and death to the world. Half of China's oil imports comes from the Middle East, so they're just concerned about the Strait of Hormuz. So, don't pay attention to what's coming out of the messaging of Russia and China. They will take no action. And right now, with the allied response, the G7 stepping up to assist with the maritime shipping lanes in the straits, this actually played into Trump's favor.
Hey, Mike, it's a bit of a political question, somewhat ideological, but I'm curious to get your take. We've heard a lot of influencers on the right, Tucker Carlson, among them, saying that Israel dragged the United States and President Trump into this war, which cracks me up because who's going to drag President Trump anywhere, by the way? But apparently Israel can dictate to Trump what's going to happen. I am curious to get your response to that as to whether or not you believe that happened and how it will play out from here on out.
David, I think you just answered it. This is hyperbolic rhetoric coming from Tucker Carlson and the extreme right. We've known that nobody dictates what President Trump does. Guys, this was an imminent threat for over 47 years. If not now, then when? If they were developing a ballistic capability like we saw with Diego Garcia, and they have enriched uranium to 60%, which could create a dirty bomb, not a full weaponized nuclear weapon, then somebody had to take action. That's moral clarity on the part of President Trump. And guys, I was fighting against Iranian special forces groups known as Quds forces in Sadr City in 2008. Iran killed over 1,000 of our soldiers with either explosive forming penetrators or their Quds forces. Guys, we've been at war for 47 years. Thank God we have a president that finally stepped up, regardless if half of the country disagrees with it. This will end up in a better position. We will see the oil prices come down, and we will have a more peaceful Middle East, knowing that we've removed or exorcised a bit of the cancer known as Iran and all their proxy groups.
And I just want to say one thing, Terrence. I know you have a question, but I just want to say, and that's a one-sided war. Let's be clear. That's a one-sided war for 47 years. In other words, Iran attacking Americans and killing Americans. And now we have a president who's finally decided, not on my watch, absolutely not. Go ahead, T. Bates.
No, I think that's a great point, David. Thank you for sharing that. Mike, we want to kind of pick your brain on the issue of Iran continuing to fire rockets. It feels like on a daily basis, they're either attacking their neighbors there in the Gulf or, as we just talked about there at the beginning, firing intermediate or even long-range ballistic missiles towards Diego Garcia. We've heard from the Trump administration that from intelligence reports that most of its missile and drone capabilities, Iran's missile and drone capabilities have been taken out. The numbers typically thrown around are about 90 to 95%. So what we're seeing in terms of continued attacks, does that speak to the sorts of arsenals that Iran had built up, or do you think we're underestimating how many missiles Iran still has and its missile capabilities?
You know, I don't think it was a strategic miscalculation or underestimation at all. Guys, any military professional knew this war wasn't going to be a 72-hour policing action. This has to be sustained, systematic attrition. Guys, I'm not a war hawk. I don't want to see this war wind down. What I want to see, and what I think most military professionals want to see, is maintain the airspace, continue to target the underground bunkers from which they can drive missile launchers out, launch, drive them back in, as well as these mobile missile launchers. We still have a little cleanup to do. It's going to be essential to the Strait of Hormuz. And even to that point, guys, no war has been won without ground troops. And I'm not advocating for mass troops in the mainland of Iran, but we need to take Qasem, which is a key island to the security of the Straits, but as well as Karg Island, which is not strategic to the Straits of Hormuz. Where it's economically strategic is we could put a boot to the financial throat of Iran by seizing the island from which 90% of their oil exports comes from. And I think that's the next logical step. Trump has deployed a lot of U.S. Marines. This is what they're built for. Amphibious, joint entry, forcible operations to take these type of islands. Where the risk comes in is there is risk in taking the islands, but the bigger risk is when you go into a defensive position when you're only 15 miles within range of Iran in those missiles. So that's why we've got to continue to erode. We're starting to get the international support, not so much on the military action, but the security of the Strait of Hormuz. So that is my picture of how I would continue this war.
No, it's a good point. I mean, everybody's going to freak out with boots on the ground if and when it happens. But to put boots on the ground at Karg Island or around the Strait for certain reasons, that's strategic rather than just patrolling the streets of Tehran, which is extremely different. Mike Sorelli, thanks for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Good stuff. All right, let's talk Medicare. A lot of folks aren't getting the full story. We're going to give it to you here. Most Medicare agents push Medicare Advantage plans, even when they're not right for you. So why do they do that? It's not very nice. Well, because that's where the money is for them. Hello, follow the money. Seniors, though, are paying the price, and that's what makes Chapter different. They're going to walk you through Original Medicare, Medigap, Medicare Advantage, and Part D with the pros and the cons, all laid out so you can make the right call for your health needs. Donna, once again, still trying to search for her last name. Donna said her Chapter advisor walked her through every option and explained everything in a way she could actually understand. Plus, they saved her thousands of dollars and gave her a last name. If you're on Medicare or will be soon, call 843-MED-HELP to learn about enrollment options and find ways to save. It's free. It's quick. They can review your options in under 20 minutes. Most people wish they had called sooner. All right, coming up, a major legal roadblock for RFK Jr. A judge temporarily blocking his bid to shake up childhood vaccine policies. Is the court going to slow down the broader agenda as well? Details when we come back on American Sunrise. Hey, folks. When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel, locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by patriots for patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
this is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills
and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hi, my name is Tracy Hill from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the host, even management. We are the RAV family, and we're better together.
Hi, I'm Chris from Illinois, and we like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump 24, Retribution.
I don't scare easy. I don't bend fast. I learned both from the way I was raised and the way I was.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us. Time now for today's health news. It is sponsored by the Wellness Company. And under the microscope today, a federal judge in Massachusetts has temporarily blocked Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s effort to overhaul the childhood vaccine schedule. The ruling stops changes that cut the number of recommended shots from 17 to 11 and also stays Kennedy's new appointments to the CDC's vaccine advisory panel, a much needed change, as well as votes taken by that reconstituted panel. Now, the case was brought by medical organizations who argue that changes could undermine long-standing public health guidance. Let's bring in the chief scientific officer for the Wellness Company, someone who is a voice of reason in the midst of all the clutter, Dr. Peter McCullough. Dr. McCullough, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Your comments on that, just for the start.
Yeah, I think it was a tactical error by RFK and the CDC. You know, we still don't have a director of the CDC, but the tactical error was not to bring in the Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, and the American College of Physicians. It could have held mandatory meetings since they all receive CMS and NIH funding and gone over the issues with vaccine safety and, you know, the new tensions around vaccine freedom. And because they weren't included, they, formed a plaintiff group and they sued and found a liberal judge and prevailed. So lesson learned here, policy can't be done by a small group of people in Washington or Bethesda. They should bring in the bigger medical groups and, face the data together. And I think they could have been successful.
Yeah. Well, the battle over vaccine technology, like the mRNA shots and the battle over the safety of our current vaccine schedule, has been so contentious. Lots of money on the other side of this, but lots of parents on the right side of this. Why do you think the biopharmaceutical complex continues to fight so hard to stop any effort at ever examining this issue? Because I keep thinking there have to be, if the public trust could be restored to them, there have to be ways they could make money honestly rather than just pumping their dangerous vaccines on everybody.
If a vaccine is on the government schedule and effectively written into state law, that means every child receives that vaccine. That's a windfall for these vaccine companies, and large portions of the vaccine sales are actually by the government. The government buys vaccines for underinsured and uninsured families and children. if we went to risk stratification, that is specific groups who really have compelling needs for vaccines, the sales would drop dramatically. So the biopharmaceutical complex, this is purely about business. It's about, maximum sales. That means maximum needles in every arm. Sadly, the children and the family are suffering from these vaccine-related chronic conditions, allergic diseases and neuropsychiatric diseases, which are skyrocketing.
Yeah. Well, one of the major issues as it relates to safety of the mRNA vaccines is the presence of spike proteins. And now they've added spike proteins to veterinary vaccines as well. So now you're not just getting spike proteins from the ill-informed people out there, but now you're getting them from the animals out there. And they have long-term impacts on the human body. Talk to us a little bit about what spike proteins are and how they negatively impact human health, and more importantly, Doctor, what we can do about it.
Certain viruses have proteins on their surface that are considered spike proteins, or ones that can cause injury to cells. So for SARS-CoV-2, it is called the spike protein. For influenza, it's called the hemagglutinin. And what we've learned is, certainly with SARS-CoV-2, the spike protein is retained in the human body after infection, massively loaded after vaccination, and it causes long COVID and vaccine injury syndromes. Now in animals, there are self-replicating genetic vaccines that are being used in veterinary medicine with unlimited production of various antigens, some of which could be injurious long-term to the animals or even shed to humans. Many believe we should have a complete ban on genetic vaccines, both in human and veterinary applications. And I think that's reasonable because they have not demonstrated adequate safety.
I mean, I just think the mandates have to go away. The mandates on animals, the mandates on children, and I don't think they should be able to call with all the sales they do. Every week you get some notice you need this vaccine, your dog needs that vaccine. They can just all take a flying leap from my perspective. Anyway, the war in Iran is having an unintended consequence on our healthcare system. India is responsible for the production of roughly 60% of generic drugs in the U.S. Most of these drugs pass through the Strait of Hormuz, which is currently closed. So for folks who are worried about access to prescription drugs, what do you recommend to them?
Many actually seek refills through the wellness company. We have our own pharmacies, so people can go through replenishment approaches for their chronic prescribed medications if they're members of the wellness company, or get emergency medical kits. The field kit is the broadest, greatest supply of generic medications, life-saving medications for infections, and people ought to take a look at that. We've seen an outbreak of serious meningitis in the UK, and what's getting that under control is ciprofloxacin, given in a single dose to eradicate the organism. And in fact, that's in our green medical emergency travel kit and the field kit. People ought to look at getting kits in their homes and playing it safe during this time of uncertainty.
And there's always a booklet inside of each of the kits that expressly explains what each of the medicines in the kits are used for. Comes in very handy. Dr. Peter McCullough, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, the Trump administration has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. But the reality, there's only so much the government can do. If you really want to make America healthy again, it's going to start in your home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from their doctors all the time. You know their products are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy. The Wellness Company makes sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription of medical kits. The kits, as I said, have an assortment of life-saving medications and books that assist you in using the medications in the kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss, so much more. These can help you stay healthy, live a longer, more satisfying life. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part, protect the health of yourself and your family. Go to twc.health/RAV today. Give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use the promo code RAV. That'll save you 10%. All right, up next, Chris Christie takes another. I know you were wanting to hear that name today. Didn't we all? It's only Tuesday and we're already Christifying you. He took another swing at President Trump. There's another shot, claiming he plays checkers, not chess. that with Trump still driving the agenda, are you going to buy it? We're going to assess all that next on American Sunrise.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Yep. Nice.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hi, my name is Tracy down from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the hosts, even management. We are the RAV family, and we're better together.
I'm Chris from Illinois, and we like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump 24, Retribution.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's time to stay awake, not woke. And who is woke today? Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who says on key issues like Iran and the DHS shutdown, President Trump is playing checkers, not chess. Take a look at this.
As it continues to impact lines at airports, and as we get closer to the summer when people are going to be going on vacation, it's going to have to come to a head. And, when you have a 2.5-hour line in Atlanta, in the busiest airport in the country, this is going to become a huge problem. But look, what everyone is saying around the table here is an indication that the president plays checkers, not chess. This is a guy who just looks at what jump he can make today, doesn't look if there's a double jump coming in the other direction. So you do what you do with Iran. You don't think about what happens with the Strait of Hormuz. You don't think that what that's going to force you to do to deal with gas prices that Donna just talked about is to relieve sanctions on Russia and Iran, who you're going to war with. I mean, the American people see this stuff. And my point on this, John, is this goes to competence.
Let's bring in Dr. Gina, David, and Terrance. David, want to get your thoughts here. I always forget about Chris Christie until clips like this come up, and then it's like, oh my God, that guy exists.
Yeah, he's still around, sadly. Well, I don't mean sadly. I mean, I want him to live a long and prosperous life, obviously, but I don't mean it like that. But look, so a couple of things. First of all, so let me get this straight. So the guy that made tens of millions of dollars, $1 billion, whatever you want, Donald Trump, the art of the deal guy is playing checkers. That guy. That guy who has gotten elected twice as president of the United States, that guy who's brought so much success to America, that guy is playing checkers. The art of the deal guy is playing checkers. Got it. Okay. You know what this is really about? This is about Chris Christie, who got passed over for vice president at the time. He wanted to be VP. He also wanted to be president. He never got to be president. But Trump passed him over as VP. And he's never forgiven him. And that's the baseline of this. And then it kind of goes from there, Dr. G.
Yeah. You know, some might say that big green monster will just hop up to bite you every now and then. And that's what that is. That's the biggest, greenest monster I've ever seen. You know, and I just, it's so obvious. Like, who listens to him say that? Even if you agree with what he's saying, you know he is just eaten alive. Donald Trump lives rent-free in his head 24/7. And, you know, and I don't mean to always sound preachy about things, but this is why the Bible warns about jealousy as such a fundamental base of problems in humanity that leads to so much lack of wisdom, lack of discernment, and outright sin. And Chris Christie is literally Exhibit A, Terrence. I think he might be in some chapter in the Bible too, but you probably know verse and letter.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm sorry. My Bible doesn't include Chris Christie. This seems to be an attempt from Chris Christie just to remain relevant. As you said at the very beginning, oh, this guy still exists? This guy is still around? Yeah, nobody's thinking about Chris Christie, excuse me, not Crispy, even though, okay, just Chris Christie.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I had to control myself. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be petty. But this is an attempt from him to simply, yeah, I know, right? This is an attempt from him just to try to remain relevant because no one cares what Chris Christie has to say or what he thinks, whether it be President Trump playing chess or checkers in this particular case. Chris Christie, go have several seats, sir.
And you know what? Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But it's that armchair quarterback that just really galls me. You're not sitting in that seat in the Oval Office every day making those incredible decisions. How dare you? And when you are an obvious failure at every level of politics, Chris Christie, just go write a book or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and here's the thing also, the ABC gives them a certain seat, right? A seat on that ABC This Week platform every Sunday. Not that anybody's really watching it, but they think they're watching it. And, you know, Chris Christie has not just a chip on his shoulder regarding Trump, he's got a boulder on the shoulder. And ABC is just more than happy to have him come on the show and wax poetic with that boulder on the shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, well, after this, I think we're going to go back to forgetting about Chris Christie.
Yep.
All right. Coming up, a biblical heroine with a modern message. In Lead Like Jail, Emma Waters unpacks 7 timeless principles for today's women of faith, touching on marriage, motherhood, work, and ambition. Emma joins us next on American Sunrise.
America, it's time to make some noise. Scan the QR code right now and download the new song, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Or search for it on iTunes and download it today. In a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, this song is a reminder of something stronger, America's grit, faith, and fortitude. From the label that brought you The Boss, Anthem of the Free, and Somali Waltz, comes the next anthem, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Scan the QR code and download it now.
It's God, grit, and guns. God, grit, and guns. God, grit, and guns.
To our enemies, FAFO.
God, grit, and guns.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills
and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hi, my name is Tracy down from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the host, even management. We are the RAV family, and we're better together.
I'm Chris from Illinois, and we like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump 24, Retribution.
God bless the USA.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. It's almost time for Easter, you guys. Are you excited? I do love Easter. I decorate my whole house in spring, and he's risen. I did my little tablescape yesterday. I love it. It is time now for our Moment of Faith, brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. In focus today, a new book drawing lessons from one of the Bible's most unexpected heroes and applying them to leadership today. In Lead Like Yale, the author Emma Waters draws from that story, along with other biblical heroines, to lay out 7 timeless principles for women of faith and navigating life, family, and leadership in a changing culture. Emma Waters joins us now. Emma, good morning. Your book takes a look at the story in the book of Judges, a figure many people maybe didn't know well. Introduce us to her and tell us why you chose her story as a model for leadership today and what makes it so relevant.
So it's a fantastic question. What does a tyrant-killing Israelite of basically no prominence herself have to do with remedying the tension between girl boss feminism and the trad wife movement today? So we find Jael in the middle of Judges, and she's a simple housewife in a tent-dwelling community. And yet by the end of her few short verses, she has actually killed the general of the Canaanites, Israel's enemy, by driving a tent peg through his head. Now, the lesson is not that we want to promote violence, but that her story tells us something incredible for women today. Unlike many of the other heroines of the Bible who are very prominent and well known, Jael's story is one that many people probably haven't heard of. And yet it is because she was faithful to the daily tasks and responsibilities God had given her, setting up and taking down tents, which was a feminine and domestic duty, that she was actually equipped for this extraordinary act of faithfulness, which was defeating Israel's enemy in a time of war. And so I chose Jael as the heroine for this book because I want to hit home the point to women that they don't need to be prominent, have a special title, or have any sort of social public influence to be equipped for the incredible work God has for them. First and foremost, we're called to prioritize our faith, our family, and our nation, and trust God with the rest.
I tell you what, I am so thankful for this trad movement among the younger generation right now, because it wasn't that way when I got married. I felt like every decision I made was absolutely, I homeschooled, I educated my children in my husband's office in the Senate where he worked. And I felt like I was so all alone. I didn't know anyone else who did the things I did, who prioritized motherhood and being a godly wife. and I felt completely isolated. And now my kids are growing up in an era because of people like you who've written books like this and who are just thought leaders on these topics, thinking that if you're not going to be a trad wife, if you're going to go for that girl boss thing that you're talking about, you better have your priorities in line, right? And I love this. I'm so happy. Tell us what you're hearing back in terms of feedback.
So this is what I'm hearing across the board as women are saying, yes, this is exactly what we're looking for. There is a silent majority of women across the United States who neither identify with the strict confines of girl boss feminism, which says put your career before all else. And they maybe don't identify with the trad wife movement that we've seen online, which has a particular image of returning to a previous era or homesteading. They want a model for what faithfulness and wise living looks like in our technological age that takes into account things like flexible and remote work and the ability to, in many ways, craft a productive home economy that allows you to prioritize your family being present and at home with your children during those early crucial years, but also make space for things like different expressions of work and volunteerism and involvement in your community that matters so much to women and has always been a part of our history. So there's certainly a lot of people who are really excited to have a biblical guide for diving into these issues that doesn't just rely on debates around this version of feminism versus that version of feminism, but really tries to dive deep into what the Bible actually says about marriage, motherhood, and family today.
Well, I love it. If I had it to do over again, I would definitely be one of those homesteaders. I'm just saying, and that's 2-3 advanced degrees later, I figured out how I should have lived my life. So that tells you how much you don't learn in college. But Emma, thank you so much for this book, and everybody should go out and get it. And I certainly appreciate that you're thinking like this, writing like this, and sharing it with the next generation. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
We're back with the second hour of American Sunrise. 2 minutes. Stick around. Don't go anywhere.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by patriots for patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
this is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills
and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hi, my name is Tracy down from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the host, even management. We are the RAV family, and we're better together.
I'm Chris from Illinois. We like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump 24, Retribution.
Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, Iran launching a wave of missiles into Israel after denying rumors of potential peace talks with the United States. They say it's fake news. Is there a potential deal on the table? We'll dissect. Plus, Kansas Attorney General Kris Kobach is demanding answers from Apple after finding that the tech giant continually failed to prevent the spread of abusive material involving children. We're going to check in with the Kansas AG later this hour. Also ahead, the Senate debate on the Save America Act enters its second week as President Trump continues to pressure Republicans to find a path forward. We're going to talk about the deeper implications of this ongoing legislative battle. Those stories and so much more as the second hour of American Sunrise starts, apparently on a Taco Tuesday, right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from D.C. Let's bring in Dr. G in West Palm, T. Bates. T. Bates, why am I talking like that? In our Denver newsroom. Good morning, y'all.
Morning, y'all.
Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday.
Wow.
Apparently, I'm coming to you from Alabama. T. Bates.
I
today.
I am not bringing y'all back to the Ozarks with me because that would be embarrassing.
Wait, what does that mean? That would be embarrassing.
Because you cannot do a proper Southern accent, not even a little bit. No.
I can do a New York accent. I'll tell you that much.
You've got covered for sure, and I can't. So there we go.
Yeah. That's
all right. So we're not going to the Ozarks with Dr. Gina, but we will be seeing Dr. Gina tomorrow in Dallas. Looking forward to seeing both of you guys for CPAC. In the meantime, yeah, there you go. We're going to have a good time. The country has a new Secretary of Homeland Security this morning after the U.S. Senate confirmed Oklahoma Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen on Monday. Mullen replaces Kristi Noem as head of the agency. The confirmation comes as the department remains unfunded amid the stalemate between Senate Democrats and Republicans. Meantime, President Trump says that Iran is ready to make a deal to end the war. However, he points out the country's newly elected leader, Mojtaba Khomeini, hasn't been seen or heard from since his supposed election as the country's supreme leader. While discussing the ongoing negotiations, the president repeatedly used the term regime change, saying the administration is negotiating with someone inside Iran whose interests he believes align with ours. Senior Iranian officials are denying any ongoing talks with the U.S., though. And NTSB investigators are working to confirm what led to Monday's deadly plane crash at New York's LaGuardia Airport. The pilot and co-pilot of this Air Canada jet are dead. Dozens of other passengers injured after the plane hit a fire truck that was crossing the tarmac. Look at this damage here. An air traffic controller reportedly gave the truck permission to respond to another plane that was reporting an odor on board. Moments later, the same air traffic tower repeatedly ordered that truck to stop, but by then apparently it was too late. While the NTSB is on the case, Canada has also sent an investigative team to New York to get to the bottom of what happened. That's a quick check of your headlines. We'll have more headlines coming your way in just a little bit, but now let's get a quick check of your forecast with Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. She also has some hometown forecasts for us. Tracy, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Terrence. I thought of it after the fact that since I'm in your building, I could have just ran in there and done the forecast last hour when we missed it. We lost the audio, but fun, you know, I could have just squeezed right in there. But
absolutely,
we're talking
you're welcome anytime. How about that? Come on over.
Yeah. For sure. We're talking about record heat across the Southwest. Yuma, Arizona, 109 degrees. This was last Friday. That is the hottest U.S. March temperature on record. So this long duration heat streak has crushed over 1,500 daily records and close to 100 monthly records. So this is going to continue into week 3 as we roll into the last week in March. And we're talking about millions once again under some really high heat advisories. So want to take you out to Prescott, Arizona. I grabbed a few of these hometown forecasts from several weeks ago. Just wanted to kind of highlight where we're seeing some of the big weather stories. 83 degrees in Prescott today. We're going to continue to be well above average. Average this time of year is right around 55 degrees. And Kansas City, 66 today. Look at Kansas City, how those temperatures roller coaster through the weekend. And they're going to be at the west end of our next severe weather outlook. So that's going to be into Thursday. And it stretches all the way up to the Great Lakes. So taking you out to South Bend, Indiana. This is from Thor 71 on Rumble. They're going to have a roller coaster forecast as well with a chance for those storms on Thursday. Terrence?
All right, Tracy, thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day.
See you.
All right. Let's get you over to David now. So much to talk about, specifically Iran. David, good morning.
Good morning, T-Bates. Let's do that. Iran launched multiple waves of missiles into Israel early this morning following reports the U.S. and Iranian officials were nearing an agreement to hold talks to supposedly end the war. Iran has denied those reports. They say it's fake news. This also follows President Trump's order to pause airstrikes on Iranian energy sectors. Here's what the president said when he was in Memphis yesterday about this.
We've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know my whole life has been a negotiation, but with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time. And this time they mean business.
All right, joining us now with analysis is the editor-in-chief of Just the News. That would be our good friend, John Solomon. John, good morning. So President Trump says, Trump says Iran means business. Really? Yeah, I don't know. I'll wait till I see that. What's your take of what's happening exactly?
Well, I think there's an interesting dynamic going on. What you're seeing is that some of the administration's contacts are not with the mullahs, but they're with people in the parliament. There are people in the foreign ministry. So what they're trying to do is divide the civilian leadership from the more radical mullahs and IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard. And I think that that's an interesting dynamic, that civilians are willing to engage in quiet talks behind the scenes so that they can have a conversation separate of wherever the more radicalized Revolutionary Guard and mullahs are. And I think that's a sign that Iran is basically in two camps right now. And I'd keep a very close eye on that. What the president has done has been negotiating through ambiguity. He has all sorts of statements, and you say he feels like he's all over the map. That's actually the goal of the statements. It is to confuse and to engage Iranians who get different messages from the president with the hope that a deal can be reached. But the fact that a parliamentary leader and a leader in the foreign ministry are having conversations and not the mullahs, not Khamenei's top people, tells you that there is some divisions, or at least certainly differing camps in the Iranian world. And that may be a different dynamic than we've seen in the past. Traditionally, Iran is unified in its messaging, unified in its negotiations, and it basically is the Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope of diplomacy. They delay, delay, delay. This is a different looking negotiation. Doesn't mean it'll have a different outcome, but it is a different looking type of negotiation, sort of a divide and conquer, which we haven't seen in past talks with Iran.
John, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about some breaking news that you're working coming out of Capitol Hill involving Chuck Grassley. It's my understanding that we're getting more information about the phone tapping or phone spying into various lawmakers and now agency heads. Fill us in.
Yeah. So not wiretapping, but obtaining a phone and email records from Kash Patel. When you talk about a phishing expedition, Jack Smith sought 3 years of Kash Patel's emails from the fall of 2020 into the spring and summer of 2023. He was basically putting a hook in the water and hoping some fish would bite that would be called a crime. It is really remarkable, but that's not the only phishing expedition he went on. These records released by Senator Grassley just a few minutes ago, they're up at justthenews.com. They also show that he went after 15 lawmakers phone records, 15 different lawmakers. I mean, that was a large expedition. And he did so knowing that his staff warned him that these lawmakers likely enjoyed constitutional protections under the debate and speech clause, meaning they couldn't be compelled to testify. They couldn't be compelled to talk about their work in front of an executive branch proceeding. Despite that warning, Jack Smith went and got these records. The FBI went and got these records. And there's one other element, just looking at them quickly. They just came out about 10 minutes ago. You also see private meetings with the judges on this matter, including Judge Boasberg. That man just keeps showing up in so many different places. He's sort of the Forrest Gump of the judiciary. He shows up here. He shows up there. He's in a deportation case one day. He's in a Jack Smith case the next day. But it's rare for the U.S. Attorney's Office to have private meetings with a judge separate of a court proceeding. And I think that that'll be one of the many areas that Congress will be investigating in the next few weeks. But a fishing expedition clearly evident in these records.
Wow, great stuff. John Solomon, as always, you are Mr. Breaking News. We thank you so much.
Yeah, good to be with you guys. Bye now.
All right. Coming up, a major election investigation now underway in California. More than 650,000 ballots seized and a full hand count ordered. We're going to talk about the impact that it's having on the Golden State's governor's race. We're back in a moment.
You can take.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel, locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by patriots for patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills
and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
My name is Kyle. I'm with Real America's Voice because we can chat with each other, the host, even management. We are the RAV family, and we're better together.
Hi, I'm Chris from Illinois. We like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump 24, Retribution.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Emily Finn. Time now to drain the swamp, and this morning we are fleshing out threats to election integrity. A major investigation is now underway in California as Riverside County Sheriff and gubernatorial candidate Chad Bianco seizes more than 650,000 ballots from last November's election and launching a full hands count to verify the results. This comes amid allegations the county's vote total could be off by tens of thousands. Democrats are pushing back, calling the investigation unprecedented. But Bianco is firing back as well, saying there's zero room for error in America's elections. To discuss, let's bring in David, Terrance, and Dr. Gina. I mean, Terrance, that is just common sense. I don't want there to be any errors in our elections anywhere in America.
Absolutely. And Sheriff Bianco didn't just kind of start this investigation willy-nilly. There was a local group that basically protested and brought him supposed evidence that there was some tampering or there was something off, if you will, with the election. Now, the election in question has to do with, I believe it's called Proposition 50. It was basically California's redistricting referendum. And that referendum passed by about 80,000 votes. And so now Sheriff Bianco is going back in and doing a hand count to make sure the numbers sync up. It's interesting. And David, just to kind of add another wrinkle to this story that's got so many different layers, Bianco, of course, is running for governor as a Republican in the state of California. So, of course, that's raising even more eyebrows, if you will, as this investigation continues.
Well, that's a good transition into the wrinkle I was going to talk about, which is the governor's race. I mean, this is kind of a big deal if you think about it. Bianco's actually doing well. And so is Steve Hilton. Right now, technically, and the polling is, sporadic and it's early to a degree. But right now, Steve Hilton, Republican, we've had on this show, Chad Bianco, we've had on the show, they are leading out in California. Remember, the way the governor's race works out there, the final two candidates will be whoever finishes between the Republicans and Democrats are all lumped in together, excuse me. So right now, technically, if we look at the polls, two Republicans would actually be in those top two slots, which means California would have a Republican governor. We'll see. It's early. I mean, I say it's early, but there's a lot of twists and turns. But Eric Swalwell, what's his name? Swalwell, right? Yeah. I mean, he's not doing all that great. So we'll see about that. But the whole thing is just interesting to me from a political standpoint, Gina.
Yeah, you have to be careful when you ask questions about election. You can end up like Tina Peters and infinitely in jail and no way to get out. But no, it is interesting in California. I mean, there is so much fraud. And let's not forget, just 15 years ago, California could have some legitimate elections. It seems like in the past decade, especially, California has just really declined. And they've done things. They've taken measures. The Democrats have taken measures to be sure that they control absolutely everything. And I'm I don't want to call myself ever a victim, but I'm somebody that was personally impacted when the governor actually wrote 2 bills to make my husband's work illegal in the state of California so that they could continue with their system that is so corrupt, where they take money from the unions and they don't ever get any bids for public projects, and they take the highest bid, give all the money to the union bosses. The union bosses then in exchange pour all the money into the politicians' pockets, and that's their little cycle and their little game. And then the politician gives them all of their no-bid contracts again. So I'm terribly familiar, because I lived there, with what this is all about. And until they correct some of those basic things, that's why Tina Peters is such an example, because until they do correct some of these basic things and people have the courage to ask the questions, California can't be taken back.
Absolutely. Gina, I just want to make a quick point. I lived in California as well, and it was during 2020, during the pandemic, in the lead up to that election. And there were people that were getting 3-4 ballots sent to their house. It was absolutely crazy. The corruption is still absolutely taking place in California.
I still get ballots at my house.
I'm not
from
surprised.
California, and I haven't lived there for 8 years.
Not
and I still
at
get
all.
ballots at my house because they just want to grab every vote they can get. And unfortunately for them, if I were to cheat and vote in their election, which I haven't, I don't think it would go well for them.
Yeah.
They certainly need to clean it up. I think it'd go really well, Gina. They need your voice in California. All right. Coming up on American Sunrise, Kansas Attorney General Kris Kobach is taking on one of the largest tech giants in the country, demanding it take action to stop the spread of child sexual abuse material. We'll check in with the Attorney General after the break. Stay with us.
But peace don't come from being weak.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State, and Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. Gina, others.
We always
came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice. Presented by Patriot Mobile, Birch Gold Group, Trump Tumblr, and 1776tumblr.com. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you.
Don't hate nobody, I just won't kneel. I don't chase headlines, I live what's real. I raise my kids to think and pray, to know the cause before they say, I don't scare easy, I don't scare fast. It's God, grit, and guns, no fear in my chest.
Because of you, Real America's Music just released the brand new single, God, Grit, and Guns, and it's already climbing the charts. Now let's take it a step further. Go download the song right now, and you'll automatically be entered to win a special prize. If God, Grit, and Guns hits #1 on Billboard, one random downloader will receive the plaque, a real piece of music history. So what are you waiting for? Scan the QR code or search God, Grit, and Guns on iTunes and download it today. Let's run it up the charts.
Welcome back, everyone. Getting you ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. It's set to ring here in just a few minutes. Here's a quick look at pre-market trading. Not looking so hot. Ooh, red from top to bottom. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all down to start this day of trading. But again, it officially gets underway here in about 6 minutes or so. We'll take you to New York for the opening bell at the Stock Exchange then. First, though, let's get you over to David Brody. David, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, T. Bates. All right, a major showdown is brewing between a state attorney general and one of the world's biggest tech companies. You might have heard of them. They're called Apple. Kansas AG Kris Kobach is demanding answers from Apple, accusing the company of failing to stop the spread of child sexual abuse material on its iCloud platform. In a sharply worded letter, Kobach says Apple has known about the issue for years and chose profits over protection, now calling on the tech giant to implement stronger safeguards or face possible legal action. Kansas Attorney General Kris Kobach joining us now to discuss the matter. Mr. Attorney General, thanks for being here. I'm curious about the specific changes that you want to see, that you're demanding from Apple right now. Tell us more. Good morning.
Yeah, well, Apple's iCloud platform has become the leading platform in the distribution and dissemination of child sexual abuse materials. This is a huge problem. And Apple has in the past shown a more serious commitment to doing something about it. Between 2021 and 2022, they actually had a detection tool that they were using to protect the public, and especially to protect children from exposure to these. Typically, we're talking about photographs here or other images. And they took that tool down. So they know how to protect the public, protect kids against child sexual abuse materials, and more broadly, to protect all of us against, to protect the country against the exploitation of children, because so often the perpetrators are doing this so that they can produce these photographs and share these photographs. It's just a sick thing. But at any rate, Apple has abandoned its tool, claiming that it's a tool that it can use. It's not like human beings are scanning all these images, but it's a very high-tech tool that looks at all these images and determines whether it's child sexual abuse material. And they say, well, privacy. But prior to that, when they actually had the tool and were using it, they weren't saying that it was causing any privacy. So we're demanding answers to a long list of questions. If you're not going to use this tool, what are you going to do? And we're pointing out that they face serious civil liability under our Consumer Protection Act. And Kansas isn't the only state, by the way. Every state has a similar consumer protection.
A couple things. What are the repercussions of all of this? Like, where could this conceivably go ultimately? Like, what's the ultimate view in terms of what you want to see specifically happen? And why haven't they done something? I mean, you say they've done things in the past, but now it seems like a reverse course. What's going on there?
You know, I don't know why they reversed course, and I don't think there's any good explanation for it. Where this could go, the best and fastest solution would be Apple would say, okay, you're right, this is a problem. We will either restore our old detection tool on the iCloud and stop this material from being proliferated there. Or they'll say we have a new tool and we have a new way of doing this. Is this good enough? That would be the best solution. The worst solution would be Apple digs in its heels, says we don't care. And then potentially we go to litigation through the Consumer Protection Acts. And by the way, it probably wouldn't just be Kansas. There'd be other states coming along behind.
Doesn't seem like you're going to mind the fight at all, but fighting and taking on Apple will have ramifications potentially, whether it be political, ideological, or financial.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you always see that when you have a huge, powerful corporation on the other side of an issue. But on the other hand, you know, Apple itself wants to maintain its good name among the public. And it does, of course, have a good name, and it does have lots of great products. I use an iPhone myself. But the point is, just because a company is big doesn't mean a company can disobey the rules or a company can look the other way when something horrific, like child sexual abuse material, is being shared on its platform.
About 20 seconds or so, do you get a sense that Apple may potentially stand down here and make the corrective changes before this goes into litigation, heavy litigation?
We haven't seen an answer yet. We've given them till April 17th to answer our letter and provide the information we're requesting and tell us what they're going to do. So check back in then. We may have a very clear answer at that point.
We definitely will. Kris Kobach, thanks for being here, the Attorney General of Kansas. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good stuff. All right, time for T. Bates in Denver. Speaking of good stuff, he's got the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. It is sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
We're getting ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Yesterday, the major markets really responded to President Trump's news that negotiations are ongoing. Excuse me, with Iran. There was a bit of a rally after that. Hopefully that rally continues today. Macro is at the podium right now. The applause is underway, which means the opening bell is going to ring here in short order. And then we'll get an idea of how the markets are looking. Pre-market trading wasn't looking so hot, so hopefully things will change almost immediately now that the markets are officially open. Here's a quick look at our big board. As you can see, there's a lot of red there. The Dow, S&P 500 not looking so good. The NASDAQ is up rather slightly this morning, so hopefully that's a good sign of things to come later on today. We'll, of course, continue to monitor all of this for you throughout the day and keep you updated. Here's a question for you, though. Do you owe back taxes or do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you filed every year, but you still keep owing? Are you retired and you got hit with a surprise tax bill? Are you a business owner with a tax bill that you can't afford? Did you take early money from your 401k and now you owe? However your tax issue started, the result is the same. Your balance isn't going to go anywhere. The penalties are simply going to grow. Interest is going to compound. And many of you are about to owe yet again this year with no plan in place. Stop what you're doing and call Tax Network USA. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even take your home or your retirement. With over 15 years of business, they've seen and resolved it all. They've helped taxpayers nationwide settle over $1 billion in tax debt. So call 800-905-8000. That's 800-905-8000 to start the process to get the information that you need to help deal with your IRS and tax issues. Still to come here on American Sunrise, the Senate debate on the Save America Act is entering a second week as President Trump ramps up pressure on Republicans to push the legislation through the upper chamber. We'll have the very latest after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State. And Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. Gina, others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice. Presented by Patriot Mobile, Birch Gold Group, Trump Tumblr, and 1776tumblr.com. Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State. And Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. Gina, others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice. Presented by Patriot Mobile, Birch Gold Group, Trump Tumblr, and 1776tumblr.com. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you to get in our conversation on YouTube, Getter, and Rumble. It is time now to take the political pulse of America. Here's the beat today. The battle over election integrity is heating up on Capitol Hill as the Senate enters a second week of debate on the Save America Act. President Trump ramping up pressure, calling the bill one of the most important in U.S. history, and warning lawmakers not to stand in the way. This measure would require proof of citizenship to register to vote and cast a ballot, a move supporters say is about protecting elections. But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and other Democrats and media united in their opposition, and with the filibuster in place, the bill faces an uncertain future, putting even more pressure on GOP Senate Leader John Thune to find a path forward. Joining us now with analysis, the host of America's Voice Live and the Steve Gruber Show, Steve Gruber. Good morning, Steve. This bill is important, but it's hard to see how it passes with the filibuster in place. What options do Republicans have to get this through?
Let's direct everybody's attention to Senator John Kennedy, Louisiana. He has a way to get it through, reconciliation. He's pushing it hard. He said he's chasing Senator Thune like he stole Thanksgiving dinner. And look, that's the way to get it through, whatever it takes. By any means necessary, whatever it takes. And I'm really encouraged, by the way, one of the provisions, I don't know if it's in the Save America Act, but the case heard in front of the Supreme Court yesterday that you cannot continue to collect ballots after Election Day. I think that's a big deal. That's part of this whole make the elections safe again. And Alito just dismembered, the argument that, well, you can keep counting. There was one state, I don't remember which one, they keep counting, or accepting ballots 20 days after the election. Look, Election Day should be Election Day, and I'm all for the idea of making a national holiday. Democrats say, well, we want as many people to vote as possible. Then make it a national holiday. I'm all for that. Early voting, they're saying, the Democrats say, well, it's going to stop early voting. No, it's not. Look, all of these things are red herrings. It's all an attempt to keep the system the way it is. Look, you have 36 states right now, I think it is, with ID. In my state, I have to give ID to vote. I'm perfectly fine with that. And married women, Gina, they can figure out how to get their license figured out too. And, I can't find my birth certificate. It's really hard. You have to get online and enter your state and say birth certificate. They'll tell you exactly how to get it. It's such a ball of BS. Yes, we need the Save America Act. It is, in my estimation, the most important piece of legislation to come through Washington in years. Look, you can't have these people playing games. You can't have mass mail-in ballots that are coming in days after the election. You can't have California counting for 2 months. I mean, every time you look at California, you got congressional seats, half a dozen of them. Republicans are always leading after Election Day by, a couple thousand votes. And then 2 weeks later, it's 1,500 votes. And then a month later, it's by 20 votes. And somehow the Democrats always magically win those seats by a sliver. Remember the trunkload of ballots in Minnesota here in 2006? Oh, look, we found a trunkload of ballots. Oh, we better count those. And then the Democrat won. I'm tired of this. The American people support this. Chuck Schumer is not well. He doesn't look good either, by the way. He looks like he's having some trouble. It's time to put the Save America Act through. I am with President Trump on this. Whatever it takes to secure integrity in our elections must be done, because right now, too many people question it. It's an 80% support, even with Democrats on board. This is a no-brainer. Get it done. Chuck Schumer's wrong.
I don't know. Joe and Mika this morning, I was flipping around, and they said this is impossible for a typical middle-class person to get a real ID. It's just impossible, Steve. You're asking the impossible of the middle class, according to Joe and Mika.
Really? Because if you don't have real ID now, and I don't like this is an aside, if you don't have real ID and try to get on an airplane sometime, might be in May, you got to pay $45 if you don't have real ID. That's not right. But real ID, you get the little star on there. Everybody has it. It's been around for years. It's an easy thing to do. And so, Joe and Mika, did your remote break? What happened there? Can you tell us what happened?
I've been having problems with my alarms and Mercury's in retrograde. I don't know, Steve.
Something went terribly wrong.
Let me ask you about, you mentioned reconciliation. I think you're absolutely right. I think what we're looking at, the new storyline will be the big, beautiful bill, the sequel. Because here it comes again, and I think what we're going to see is the Save America Act in there. We're going to see $200 billion or whatever it is for the war supplemental, whatever it ends up. I mean, it's going to be a smorgasbord of stuff. The concern, I think, will be, can they even get 50? As you know, they only need 50 votes for reconciliation. Can they even get, sadly, 50 Republicans to support the Save America Act? That's going to be interesting, even part of reconciliation, because you're not going to probably get Tillis. He doesn't care. He's lame duck. Murkowski and Collins are always iffy. McConnell's a problem. So Rand Paul, probably not too. So even if you try to put it in reconciliation, you may not get to 50. That's a concern. And I think that's the old time to call your switchboard situation for folks out there. Yeah.
Potentially, and here's the other issue you didn't mention, David. You have a math problem now because Mark Wayne Mullen cannot be a U.S. Senator and Secretary of Homeland Security at the same time.
Right.
So now you're one short there. Now, having said that, the governor of Oklahoma only has 30 days to name a replacement for that Senate seat. So at least that's on a short calendar. But look, every day counts right now. Every day counts. So I hope the governor of Oklahoma, Stitt, can get that seat filled quickly. Look, I think Mark Wayne Mullen was a fine choice. He got through with, 54 votes yesterday? Good for him. He got two Democrats to vote for him, not just Fetterman. And I think that's a good choice. But, of course, Rand Paul voted against him. I think you get the 50 votes, David. I do. There's some things coming out from our friend, Just the News, John Solomon, showing that there was infiltration by the Chinese government into different places, including Alaska. How does Lisa Murkowski sit there and say, the Chinese came into the databases of Alaska, but I'm not going to vote for the SAVE Act? I don't even think she can do that. Now, it's going to take a nice phone call from the president to do it. He's going to have to be real polite and be real nice to a senator he does not like and see what he can do. But let's be honest about her. She rigged the elections in Alaska to do ranked choice voting just to get that seat. Otherwise, she wouldn't even be there. So it's a lot of games. She's one of the master game players when it comes to politics, and she does us no favors.
I'm sorry, just a real follow-up, Terrence, real quick. I wanted to say something about the parliamentarian, because that's the other issue here, that the wrinkle will come later. I can almost guarantee you the parliamentarian is going to say no to the Save America Act inside reconciliation, saying it's not germane to reconciliation. And that's going to put John Thune on the spot yet again to change those Senate rules to say and overrule the parliamentarian. So I think Thune is not getting away with anything here. He's at some point he's going to have to make a decision on that.
Well, and look, you can go back and look at every Democrat in a leadership position prior to this administration saying we need to end the filibuster. And yet the Republicans there, like Murkowski, McConnell, and these others, we're not going to vote to get rid of the filibuster. Well, if you don't, they will. It's a 100% guarantee. If I was on Kalshi making a bet right now, it's a 100% guarantee.
Yep.
Hey, Steve, you mentioned Mark Wayne Mullen. He is now the head of the Department of Homeland Security. He's going to be working with Tom Homan. I think this is going to be must-watch TV. You've got two straight shooters who don't hold their tongue. How do you think all of this ultimately is going to work out? What are your expectations from Mark Wayne Mullen as Secretary of Homeland Security?
Well, we're going to find out. Look, let's talk about one recent success in the last 48 hours. The Democrats once again screaming about how ICE agents were going to intimidate and scare people at airports. You know what we've actually seen? Airport lines went from 4.5 hours to 40 minutes in the places that ICE has rolled in. They're not creating problems. They're creating efficiency. Once again, the Democrats scream one thing. The reality is something different. Americans are sick and tired of waiting in line for 4 or 5 hours in places like California, Atlanta, wherever. And so that worked. Mark Wayne Mullen, he's an MMA fighter, right? Look at him. This guy could, take down a brick wall with his bare hands. He is a straight shooter. I think he's going to be fine. What they are going to be cognizant of this time, though, is how it looks on TV. So they're going to conduct things a little bit differently. But then go to where the president was yesterday in Memphis, not at Graceland, but before that at the safety summit. Right? Look at what's happened to the crime rates in Memphis. The National Guard worked. In D.C., it worked. In New Orleans, it worked. The Democrats scream about how this is an awful thing, and yet Democrats can't lie about this. Steve Cohen, the one Democrat member of Congress from Tennessee, had to admit begrudgingly that it worked in Memphis, and crime rates are down. We're at the lowest crime rate for murder in something like 100-plus years. What Donald Trump is doing is working for average people, including Democrats. So they can say whatever they want, and they can try to spin it however they want, and they can try to create these false narratives. But the policies work across the board. And so I think Mark Wayne Mullins will be effective in the job, but more cognizant and more aware of what the cameras look like, how it rolls out on TV. Look, nobody knows this better than Donald Trump. He understands from his days at The Apprentice and his whole life, it has to have a palatable effect on the populace, on the voters. People don't mind that rapists and drug dealers and child traffickers are thrown out, but they don't want people being, in scuffles on the street. We don't want that.
Right.
So that's where we are.
Well, I'm going to be standing idly by waiting for Mullins to apologize to Mickey, Ashley Babbitt's mother, for what he said about that Capitol police officer that shot her daughter. But I won't hold my breath, Steve, so there's that.
Yeah, well, there is that.
Yeah, thank you for being with us, Steve Gruber. Always enjoy having you.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals, and that's why you need to consider buying gold from Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Just text America to the number 989898. You receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, Birch Gold can help you diversify with gold. It's peace of mind. Text America to 989898. Text America to the number 989898 today. All right, there's more American Sunrise to continue right after the break, so don't go away.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State. And Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. Gina, others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice. Presented by Patriot Mobile, Birch Gold Group, Trump Tumblr, and 1776tumblr.com. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. Let's spill some tea.
All right, Let's Spill Some Tea is sponsored by Artillery Tea Company, the veteran-owned patriotic tea brand delivering premium whole-leaf tea in biodegradable sachets that brew twice as strong. Patriots, if you love great tea on your terms, check out the Patriots Brew Club for automatic shipments that you control. You can cancel or swap flavors anytime with no commitments. You'll also get free shipping on every order, tiered discounts up to 20%, and free milestone rewards along the way. Brew strong, stay patriotic. Head to artillerytco.com right now and click Join the Patriots Brew Club to get started. It is time to spill some tea, and in the cup today, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Appearing on CNN, Jeffries warned that ICE agents could brutalize or even kill Americans if they're sent into terminals to help ease TSA shortages. The comments come as the Trump administration moves forward with the plan to use ICE agents in support roles at airports amid a DHS funding standoff that's already caused major delays and staffing issues. Here's what Jeffries had to say about that over the weekend. Take a look.
The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them. We've already seen how ICE conducts itself. These are untrained individuals when it comes to doing the current job that they have for the most part, let alone deploying them in close exposure and highly sensitive situations at airports across the country.
We want to know what you, our viewers, think. Let us know on Rumble or Getter. Hop on and let your voice be heard. Still to come on American Sunrise, our own David Brody is standing by with the top story he's keeping his eye on today. The one to watch is after the break. Don't miss it.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Yep. Nice.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good. I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State, and Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. Gina, others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice. Presented by Patriot Mobile, Birch Gold Group, Trump Tumblr, and 1776tumblr.com. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. It is time now for the one to watch. D-Bro, what you watching?
Yes.
What you
I'm
watching?
What I'm watching? I'll tell you what I'm watching. I tell you what, I'm a Tucker Carlson watch. I know. You're like, oh, here. I know. I knew that was coming.
Honestly, Brody, can't you think of anything else? Okay, go ahead.
I cannot. And let's talk about this. All right, so he went a little anti-Israel. That's not really shocking. But look at this. So during an interview with a Chinese professor, I'd love to say his name, but let's be honest, I can't pronounce it. Carlson, I just can't. I'm not trying to be mean. I just can't pronounce
JX.
it. Thank you. That's right. As opposed to Jay-Z. Carlson's guest argues that America should give up its role as the world's superpower. And Tucker actually agrees with that. Take a look at this.
So what I would do is basically sit down everyone, okay, including Russia, China, Iran, and say, it's time for a new world order where we are partners in this relationship. Right? Before America was a hegemon, before the US dollar was a world reserve currency. But now what we want to do is open a dialogue where everyone is respected, where America is no longer the bully, but a willing partner in creating a new economic order that benefits everyone and not just a few.
I think that's the wisest possible advice and probably the only path that preserves civilization. But the one country standing in the way of that is Israel.
No, I mean, Israel's become Kevin Bacon. It's 6 degrees of separation with Israel, with Tucker. But let's forget Israel for a second. Why is Tucker agreeing with this guy? That we're supposed to now not be the #1 superpower in the world and share power? Feels very collectivist and very leftist to me. And I'm just looking online and I'm literally listening to Tucker Carlson. He's not a conservative anymore. He's definitely not part of MAGA anymore. He's turning into a leftist. He literally said, look it up, don't take my word for it. He said Sharia law, I have it right here, I'll read it to you. Sharia law, cities run by Sharia law are, quote, more advanced than cities in the, quote, white world. What is he talking about? What's happening here to Tucker Carlson? Anyone? Bueller? Anybody?
Yeah, wow. What that guy said was absolutely moronic. I don't know the whole context, but I will say that, you know, some of the things Tucker says, I'm just like, what? Where is he going with this? He was talking about how beautiful some of the cities that are under Sharia law are, that kind of thing. And I was like, what? Yeah, and this doesn't make sense to me. I mean, we all know that negotiating with dictators like in China and other places has always worked so well. So yeah, it's just weird. And I've never thought of Tucker as a sort of MAGA conservative. He's not. Nobody's going to say that. Tucker has sort of his own ideas, but he does do some incredible interviews. His interview with Joe, oh geez, Kemp, Joe. Yeah, it was incredible. The whole center section, David Brody, I told you to listen to it. I have a feeling you didn't. Was incredible when he talked about how presidents get isolated. It was so ingenious, and it was exactly what I've been saying for a long time. So throwing baby out with bathwater. I think we listened to everybody, but I agree. This was absolutely idiotic, Terrence. Idiotic.
While I definitely take issue with some of what was said, I would argue that part of what that gentleman was saying, sitting people down and having a conversation about economic issues that benefit everyone, I would argue that's already happening. President Trump is leading that charge. He's trying to settle wars. He's trying to settle issues from an economic standpoint, putting out a foundation that benefits everyone, showing that war doesn't benefit everyone and that there are economic stances that people can take in order to change it. I would argue that President Trump is leading in that way.
Brody just leaned back and buttoned his jacket. Terrence, stand by.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would like to button my jacket, and I've only got a minute left.